Right. So, good morning, all. So, uh, in trying to answer queries by many students about the exam, so I'm going to share a few tips about the exam. First thing, and this is during our interaction, different occasions, different times on online. I have always kept saying this. First, the exam is not the end of the word. The exam is just a means, not an end. Okay, the objective or the end is not the exam in itself, but what matters most is learning, because the exam is not an end, it is a means. It is a pedagogical means. It is a way, it's one of the exercises that are part of the overall pedagogy of teaching and learning. It is a game, all right? So, what matters most is all the process of playing the game, to know the rules of that game, because there is no game without rules set from the beginning, to know exactly where to stand, where to move, where to stop. All right. Okay. What happens in the game is in this game of the exam is that there is always stress, and stress is the enemy of the students. It is not the examiner or the exam itself. The enemy of the student is stress, okay? Panic, all right? And when the student is overstressed, panics, there is loss of control, and the exam can be fiasco, can be disastrous in the sense that you can find yourself either in front of a blank page that refuses to yield, refuses to allow a single word of ink, to be written black and white. Okay, and there is the contrary. There is this rush by the candidate to fill in that blank page, which even more stressful than the idea of the exam itself. So there is a whole psychological preparation, which is simple. I am not a psychologist, but it's simple. When you have a game, you need to concentrate. Concentration is important. Uh, the exam is not the end of the world. There is no need to lose self-confidence because you know enough. You have been reading, you have been attending online or face-to-face in class sessions, and you need to have this self-confidence. Your level is good enough. You are qualified enough. If not, you won't be entitled to sit for that exam. So, self-confidence to combat stress. And then bear in mind that it's a game. You need to know the rules of the game. Okay? Now, the rules. Whatever you write on the exam sheet should be should have an outline, should be organized, should have a structure. Okay? That is very important. Don't start writing, you know, for fear that the sheet would remain blank when the time runs out, when the exam session is finished. Okay. Remember that there is, for example, here, because many students are concerned about the exam form, the essay in literature. Okay, how to write an essay in literature about a short story, about a novel, about drama, about other poetry, okay, and so on and so forth, okay, right? So the essay that you are required to write on the day of the exam needs to be uh, uh, need to be structured in a discernible way. It should have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. That is the most important thing to start with, particularly for students, for undergrad students in departments of English studies, first year and second year. Okay, then of course, the more we learn, the more we read, the more we advance in the student's career, the more details we know about literary techniques. But what matters most is that you should write an essay which has a structure, regardless of the length, regardless of the length, because it could be a short essay, it could be a longer essay, 2-page essay, or 5-page essay, or for higher levels, including master levels or other national exams, where sometimes the exam session lasts for 5 hours or more, and then the candidates have to provide or write about 5, 6 pages, etc. Right? So here we are dealing with tips for exams. Tips mean pieces of advice, for students, undergrad students starting to sit for exams in literature. Okay, now the most important thing I said is that your essay should have a structure, a discernible structure made up of first unit, which is the introduction. The second unit is the body of the essay, and then the conclusion, the last unit. Okay, you can call them units or paragraphs. Some students and lecturers call them paragraphs. They can talk about the famous traditional 5-paragraph essay. 5-paragraph essay. Okay, I can call them units. Okay, so I'm going to use my hands and fingers again. In the future, in normal circumstances, might be using other techniques or visual aids, to explain uh, things. But for the time being, I can use my my hand. I said this is the structure of the essay. The first unit is the introduction. The fifth unit is the conclusion. Okay, you can devote a paragraph to the introduction and a paragraph to the conclusion. Now you have the body, which is longer than the two, inaugural and closing paragraphs, which are the introduction and conclusion. Okay, Okay, so you have the the second paragraph, which is part of the body of the essay, the third paragraph and the fourth paragraph. Normally, the second paragraph is the thesis. The third paragraph is the antithesis, for and against, when you have to deal with opinions. And then you have the fourth paragraph, which is the synthesis, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Well, traditionally, this is the form of the five paragraph essay or 5-unit essay. In other words, the essay can be structured into 5 steps. 5 steps. The first step is introduction, 6 lines. The second step is the first point to deal with in the essay, the second point, and then the third point. Okay, probably 8 lines, paragraphs, 3 paragraphs of 7, 8, 9 lines each, and then the conclusion. Okay, all right. So generally, this is probably the canvas that you should adopt in order to use what you have known about a short story or a novel. Okay, I'm simplifying things. I am surely simplifying things because, as I told you, we are most of the students who have been asking these questions are undergrad, second-year students, probably the first experience in dealing with exams in literature. And in the coming semesters, I mean, you can go into more details. So um, uh, now let me clarify the structure, probably the structure of each unit, each paragraph. In the first paragraph, or in the first unit, which is the introduction, you can start by briefly stating what the story is about. Okay, meaning the story, what happens in the story. In the next step, so this is the structure of the introduction. So after having talked about the overall structure or the outline of the essay about a short story, about a novel, okay, now we are talking about the structure or the outline of the introduction, meaning the points to be followed, or the steps to be followed in the introduction. First, brief description or a brief description of sorry, I need to continue. A brief description of the meaning, what the story is about. Second step is the thesis statement. Okay, you can use 2 good transition sentences so that you can express the thesis, which is normally 1 sentence that expresses the main idea of the essay or the main interest of the essay. That is the thesis statement, the main interest of the essay, the main argument in the essay. Okay, and then third step in the introduction is to state in a couple of sentences, you announce the outline of the plan of your essay, meaning you should announce or forecast the points to be dealt with, the three parts to be dealt with in the body. Okay, so I can continue, and I will go back to the introduction afterwards, if you, I mean, if you wish. So, in the first unit or paragraph of the body, you can provide a very brief plot summary. Very brief plot summary. In a second step, you can deal with character description. Okay, you can deal with the character description, but very brief. You need to be thrifty. And then you can introduce the assertion. You can assert the thesis, again supporting your argument. Okay, and then you can move on to the second unit, meaning the third paragraph in the 5-paragraph essay. You need, for example, to describe the conflicts in the story. Okay, the conflicts in the story. All right, you can deal a second assertion of the thesis, meaning the theme or the interest perceived from an opposite point of view, so that you can have this thesis, antithesis, so that you can reach the fourth paragraph, which is the synthesis. Okay, so the fourth paragraph is a sort of a synthesis in which you go deeper into the analysis, okay, of the points that have been dealt with so far, and then you can, because some people would call it, let's say, the most important, consider it the most important paragraph in the 5-paragraph essay, the most important unit, because it is a sort of synthesis that prepares the ground for the final unit or part or paragraph of the essay, which is the conclusion. Okay, the fourth paragraph prepares the ground for the conclusion. Okay, for the final part of the five paragraph essay, and in the conclusion, you should probably read and then come back again with more clarifications.